The retired security guard sat in his dimly lit living room, staring blankly at the television. His mind was a million miles away, lost in the memories of his time at Area 51. He had seen things that no man should ever see, and he had kept his silence for years. But there was one incident that he could never forget. It haunted him, even in his old age. It was the story of a scientist who had experimented on his own daughter in a desperate attempt to cure her cancer. The guard had been on duty that night, patrolling the lab where the experiments were being conducted. He had heard strange noises coming from inside, and he knew that something was amiss. He pushed open the door, and his eyes widened in horror at the sight before him. The scientist was working frantically on a body that lay before him. It was his daughter, or at least what was left of her. Her skin was rotten, her flesh eaten away, and yet, she was still alive, writhing in agony as the scientist continued his work. He had lost his mind in his quest for a cure, and he would stop at nothing to save his daughter. The guard had watched in horror as the scientist injected her with strange fluids and twisted her limbs in ways that no human body should be able to withstand. And then, something had changed. The daughter had begun to convulse, her body racked with spasms. The scientist had backed away in fear, watching as his daughter transformed before his eyes. She had become a monster, with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. Her skin was still rotten, but her muscles had grown stronger and more powerful. She had broken free from the table, and the guard had barely managed to escape as she went on a rampage, tearing through the lab and killing everything in her path. The guard had reported the incident, of course, but no one had believed him. The official story was that the experiment had gone awry, but there was no mention of the monster that had been created. The guard had retired soon after, unable to bear the weight of the secrets he had been forced to keep. Now, as he sat alone in his living room, he couldn't help but wonder what had become of the monster. Had she been destroyed? Had she been set loose on the world, a ticking time bomb of destruction? He knew that he would never have the answers, but the memory of that night would haunt him until the end of his days.